Let's finish up with the box model concept by talking about what is called margin. So what is margin property when it comes to box model? So margin property adds space between a box and the content of the next element. So it simply means that it's a space between children or two or more children that is around a particular element. So you could see that how many elements do we have on this particular page? Can you tell me? We have what is called, the first one is here with the H1 welcome and this text number 2 and the whole of this one number 3, and I have the span number 4 and we have this one as number 5. And you could see that for the element number 3, which is this one, there is no space here. So the spacing between this child and then the next child is what you call the margin. You see that the margin, the surrounding content of an element is called the margin. So let's say that I want to have some margin around between this particular child and this particular child, and apply margin on this particular child. The same thing on the span. See that for the span, we don't have margin around that. So let's see how we can apply margin also. So margin also has 4 properties: margin top, bottom, left, or right. So let's see. So let's add a margin to the first one, H1 here, which is this one. My H1 here, this. So come up here, this is my H1 here. So I'll select that, then having selected, and say margin of say 20 pixels. And you can see that as soon as I add it, I have a margin around that. But I don't want to have a margin on all sides. Let's say that at the top here, I don't want to add a margin. You see that as soon as I add margin, I have some space at the top, left, bottom, and right. I don't want that. What about if I want to have margin at the top? So you need to specify as margin bottom. Sorry, it's margin bottom over there. So if I save it, now you see that now I have margin that is between this particular element, this child, and this particular p tag here. Now, perfect. So if you want to add some margin to this side, why not? We can do that using margin left, ML, margin left, and they're going to be as 10 pixels. Now I have margin. What about this particular, particular div here? That is a border, the div. This is my div here. So I can come down here and say margin. We see for one element, we can add as many CSS properties that we want. I can say margin on all the sizes supposed to be 20 pixels. Now I have enough margin around this one, perfectly aligned. What about my span here? Okay, so for the span too, I can come down here. Now I have my span being selected. Where's my span? Here. I can add also margin on all sizes to be 20 pixels. Now I have it. Okay, I have that one. That is it. So that's the beauty of margin. Margin is the space between a child and the nearest child. And padding is within the child by the space between the border and the content. And the width specifies the horizontal and then vertical axis of a box. That is it about box model. So with this concept in mind, the next video, let's improve our CSS skills by learning what is called CSS selectors.